All right, welcome to another episode of Future Money, where we talk about the investments of the future
that will make us money.
All right.
Please remember that nothing we say here should be taken as personal advice. The conversation is for entertainment purposes only. If you have questions about your financial situation, please talk to a licensed financial advisor.
All right.
Happy August, last summer show.
Dude, I can't believe summer is over, man.
Oh, man. That's it.
I mean,
it doesn't feel that way. It's like 1,000 degrees right now.
Yeah, but it is August. Labor Day is around the corner.
Labor Day, right? It's the unofficial end of summer.
Yeah.
Even though we have another almost full month until summer's actually over.
And we're in LA too. Summer usually lasts till October, November. So
December, January, February.
But a lot going on though. Hasn't been a quiet summer.
It hasn't. But we're gonna try to narrow some things down. We're gonna try to talk about earnings. Let's talk about tech earnings are mostly over, with the exception of the big dog, and now the unequivocal master big dog NVIDIA. Yeah, they've been sort of
NVIDIA reports tomorrow.
Yeah, they've been playing back and forth with Apple and Microsoft for the biggest company, and now they are definitely the biggest company now.
Yeah,
according to market cap. So, a lot of tech earnings. Obviously, the big Mag 7.
Yeah.
I still try to keep Tesla out of the conversation because I just really don't think it's fair to equate them with the other companies as of this moment. Maybe in 10 years when robots are doing everything and cars are driving themselves, but right now, not so much.
Yeah. Well, I think, listen, the reality is we went to this quarter thinking things may be a little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Earnings were like in the 5-6% range expected. And boy,
everyone has been wrong so far. That's for sure.
We had a insane quarter for technology. At least I think the Mag 7 were up 30% on that.
They were up 30%.
Yeah.
The overall market earnings increase because of the Mag 7 mostly is 12%.
Correct.
And again, it's important to note that to start the year, the projection was 10 to 12% before we started the year, before all the tariffs and all the discussion of all that. Then we had tariffs and Liberation Day and all that. Everyone got super bearish.
Yeah.
Market corrects 20%. Earnings estimates come down by half, essentially.
Pretty much,
5 to 6%.
And basically because of uncertainty, right? Because of politics, geopolitics, all the tariff bullshit and all that.
Yeah, which is not gone yet, right? And it's important to note that in spite of this quarter, tariffs don't just happen right away.
Yep.
It's a little bit clunkier. It takes a little bit more time to kind of
And it's a tax that's going to take some time to seep through the economy.
Exactly. And in Q1, we had, GDP in Q1 was all over the place because everyone imported everything pre-tariff. Then Q2 GDP was all over the place because now we have no increase. So GDP was up big, even though not really.
Yeah.
So
we're not used to having this much volatility in numbers
in GDP. Like you shouldn't be off by 3% in either direction. You used to be like you grew at 3% and that was it.
Yeah. And to be fair, this is hard for economists. It's hard for CEOs to plan. It's hard for people to project their expenses or their expenditures or what their revenues are going to be. So that's why things have been all over the place.
Yeah. And I think the best place to see that, amongst the Mag 7 at least, is with Amazon.
Yeah.
Unlike the other tech companies, Amazon does have this big exposure to
consumer discretionary.
Consumer discretionary, right? It's not technically a tech company, even though it is because of AWS, obviously.
The cloud business.
Right? The cloud business is... Amazon's really two separate companies.
Correct.
Right? It's kind of like a tech company and a retail company almost at the same time.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that in the numbers with Amazon. AWS is still doing very well, although its growth is slowing. Still the biggest cloud provider out there.
Yeah.
We think about Microsoft now as, this behemoth and all that, but AWS is actually still
bigger,
significantly bigger than Azure. But the consumer side, the retail side definitely slowed for Amazon. Costs have gone up.
Yep.
And it looks like Amazon is going to start passing that on to customers.
I mean, listen, I think on average, we started the year with the average tariff is 2 to 3%, right? Now we're about 16 to 18%, depending on who you talk to or what numbers you look at. That's going to be passed on. Maybe not 100%, but it's going to be passed on at some point.
Yeah.
And the longer we wait, the more is going to be passed on to consumers. The U.S. is 70% consumption company.
Right.
I mean, economy. So as a result, I think we're going to see this impact price. And that's why you've seen the Fed being a little bit more hesitant about cutting rates, right? Because inflation can actually pop up in the next couple months or the end of the year. So.
Yeah, it is hard to say when it will happen. Some people say it's a one-time tax. Some people say it's going to happen over time. The Fed is kind of all over the place, and Trump isn't helping, sort of putting pressure.
I want to talk a little bit about that because first of all, I think before we talk about the Fed, some of the conversation I'm having with some clients is they feel so anxious, yet markets are all-time highs.
Yep.
Right. And this is a really important thing to do is the economy is not the market and the market is not the economy. The market is always forward-looking, right? Yep. And you have to really sometimes take your emotions out of your decision-making when you think about your investments because things can work out differently. And as you see, the Max 7 are not the economy.
Right.
The Max 7 are crushing it.
Yes, they are.
And NVIDIA is 8% of the S&P.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts, right?
It's kind of nuts, right? So if NVIDIA does well, and that's 8% of the S&P.
It pulls the entire market.
Right? So I think it's really important to understand why that's happening.
Yeah,
right?
And the top 10 are over 40%.
Yeah.
Right? So 10 companies control 40% of the entire stock market.
Yeah, and they sell to the whole world, right? So and this is the power of the U.S. tech industry and all the tech companies, how powerful they are and how much money they're making. To a point where, they're spending $80-90 billion a year for AI infrastructure. And it's barely hurting their margins. It's crazy.
It's not. It's barely hurting their margin, which is kind of insanity. You go, oh well, margins are going to get hit. When this tech boom started, let's say 3 years ago, all the fear of the sort of hyperscalers, the Apple, not the Apples, the Microsofts and the Amazons.
Margins got better.
How is that even possible? I don't even understand. When this started, everyone's like, oh, well, Microsoft's going to take a hit for a couple of years until all this plays. Every year they're spending more and significantly more, and all their earnings continue to go up.
That's because they're just printing cash, literally. 2, they're also being more efficient. They're using the AI tools to actually improve their own operations.
For sure.
Microsoft is firing a bunch of people. So did Google and things like that. So you're seeing these businesses just being run very efficiently.
Meanwhile, my Outlook search in my email is still trash. Can we all agree on that? That search and Outlook?
How about Siri?
Siri's, I don't even consider Siri a software. Siri, I feel like Siri was started in 2011 and just never got an upgrade.
I think Siri is going to crush it next year.
I think, you're always overly optimistic on Apple. And, I used to be the biggest.
I would never bet against Apple.
I
never.
I
remember when the BlackBerry was happening and everyone just counted Apple out?
Yeah, but remember when the BlackBerry was 90% of smartphones?
I know.
And they didn't innovate and Apple came in and stole their lunch?
That's pre-iPhone, baby.
and now we're having these conversations about other companies coming in and possibly taking, right? It's a great, if Meta and these glasses, Meta did a big
deal what the average use people of their smartphones on a daily basis?
Yeah, I'm sure it's 5 hours a day.
7 hours almost.
Yeah, that's so bad.
Your iPhone is basically, you spend more iPhones than your partner,
until it's not. That's for sure. Yeah, and I think people are. I think a lot of people have chosen to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Not us, obviously. But that's true until it's not, right? That's true until a new technology comes. Actually, Eddie Q, one of the Apple executives, even said there may be a time where you no longer have an iPhone, within the next 10 years. So they need to step up and innovate. I think Apple's biggest, their user base, their ecosystem is definitely amazing.
Yep.
But, as much as I don't like Android personally as a user, Google's phones are...
the green bubbles?
Freaking green bubbles. No, I'm just kidding. For everyone who has a green bubble, I'm sorry. But Google's phones are actually starting to be significantly better than Apple's phones.
Oh yeah, Chinese phones are good.
But
also privacy is a problem.
100%
is a problem,
and that's one of Apple's biggest things, and also one of its biggest sort of problems in instituting AI within their system is right. Every time you query ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, you're going to the internet unsecured.
Well, this is the promise of Siri, right?
Yeah.
This private cloud, right? Or private AI, whereby you can actually run models on your iPhone, which basically will help manage the apps in your iPhone, use your private data within your iPhone to optimize access and things like that. And if they can actually pull that off, I think that's
the big question.
That would be huge.
But we were promised end of 2024, which bled into start mid 2025. Now it's end of 2025. We're into 2026. I'm just saying, like, in the technology world, look at Intel, and we're going to talk about Intel in a little bit also for a different reason. But like, look at companies like Intel, right? I actually just looked at this chart. In 2022, Intel sold about $7 or $8 billion per quarter in chips.
Right.
Okay. More than Nvidia.
Yeah.
Okay. Now Intel sells about $5 to $6 billion a quarter in chips, and Nvidia does basically 4 times what they do.
Intel is really a fascinating story of a company that has missed the new technology.
But that's the gist of it, right? Intel is a company from the 60s, 1968.
Yeah.
Apple is a company from the 70s, right? So
Moore's Law was created by Moore, who's actually the founder of Intel.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are the chips, like literally.
But look where they are now, right? And so Apple needs to be careful here. And again, they have a user base and an ecosystem that's so ingrained, obviously, as you guys can all see.
Yeah.
Not a consumer issue that I love Apple products, love them. But they mentioned in these lawsuits with Google and everything, like the threat that AI is posing to them and to other tech companies. So it is a big thing. So they have to be careful. Yeah. Because if they miss the AI boat, this is how giants fall.
Yeah. I don't think we're there, but I think that's a fair criticism.
Yeah, I don't think we're there either. But they say Rome wasn't built in a day. It also wasn't destroyed in a day. It took centuries.
To 500 years, basically.
They sacked Rome for the first time, and then 200 years later is when it actually fell. Right. So it could take a lot of time, but sometimes you'll see cracks, and if they don't fill those cracks in the end,
and you're seeing. I think. Listen, they spent $11 billion in R&D just last quarter.
Yeah,
it is a lot. And Apple. Unlike a Tesla or Google, Apple does a lot of things quietly.
Sure.
Like, you don't hear them boasting about things. You don't hear them doing a lot of
Has your Vision Pro.
Per se. Has your Vision Pro.
Has your Vision Pro. Has your Vision Pro. This is my only thing, right? It's like, what's the last thing they were successful with, right? AirPods. Which, by the way, are amazing, and everyone has them, and it's great.
$20 billion a year business.
It's $20 billion a year business.
Yeah.
On a huge. $400 billion a year company.
Yeah.
Right. So you're talking 5%. I know that sounds insane that to say, 20 billion is nothing, right? Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. But right, their empire is built around iPhones and Macs and that kind. And I feel like iPad has become an afterthought even.
Yeah, and also services.
Of course, absolutely. And
so all right, we'll agree to disagree.
No, we're not disagreeing. I'm just saying they need to be careful. And by the way, their numbers were much better than people expected. People were more bullish on people bought a lot of iPhones.
China also was a problem, or at least was it something that people were worried about, and actually it's coming back. So again, it's still like that luxury.
Sure,
it's a.
Do we have this China thing every quarter with Apple? It's like every quarter we have this
economy in the world.
Yeah. Every quarter it's like, oh, we're afraid about China, and then the next quarter we're like, oh, it was fine.
It's a big place.
It's a big place. They have a few people there that buy some things. I heard.
NVIDIA, we're worried about China tomorrow.
We're always worried about China, and for that is one of the biggest things. So let's kind of round out the rest of the Mag 7 earnings. Yeah. So Apple's were good, much better than expected.
Yep.
Microsoft, I thought, had one of the best earnings. Again, you're talking about a company that has reinvented itself so many times.
It's really fascinating.
And I don't want to say reinvented itself, but just found ways to continuously build upon their empire as it was before. First with, cloud, and now with AI and all that kind of stuff.
I think Microsoft's cloud is really what's driving basically all aspects of Microsoft.
Yeah.
Their really early kind of ChatGPT partnership has worked out really well for them, but also they invested in their own AI expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Copilot, even though it's not the best model out there or anything like that, but it's still like they have the enterprise, right? And if you're a company that's trying to get into AI, which is basically every company, Microsoft, the most like your AI gateway
default. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, you get in there, Microsoft's got it for you, and then you have to use a ton of compute. And guess what? Microsoft is where you get it,
Yeah. And, this speaks to the whole ecosystem thing that we were just talking about with Apple. Like, I think we can all agree that Microsoft's system is not the best.
Oh,
like OneDrive is not the best. Outlook is not the best.
GK, this is a bit of our own, our story is that we're obviously all using MacBooks because we try to buy regular laptops for people.
Are not our favorite. Yeah,
nobody approved that, but we're using because of security and safety, and we have a lot of financial data that requires to be secured in a way that most software can. Microsoft is really the only place for us to go. So we use Microsoft for everything.
Correct.
And it's, when you think about them versus Google, it's just not even close.
Correct. And that's the idea, right? Like with the exception of Excel, I think everybody can agree that far and away Excel is the best one, even though, Google Sheets or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Is basically just a copy of Excel. The Excel is the best thing, but Outlook is not the best product.
No.
Right?
No.
Copilot is not the best product.
Yeah.
None of these things they do are the best, but in aggregate together, they all work very well together.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And that's the power of the ecosystem. And that's the power Apple has if they really figure this AI thing out.
Yeah.
Again, it locks people back into this ecosystem, which allows these tech companies to dominate.
Yeah. I know this is future money and we're talking about this stuff, but you can't forget how important these tech companies have become.
Yeah. For sure.
I think I saw research last week or 2 weeks ago about the whole technology sector is 5% of the global GDP. Global GDP is $100 trillion. 5% of that is technology.
It's crazy.
It's expected to double over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind
of nuts.
It's kind of nuts, right? And the fact, and I think over the weekend, the Wall Street Journal had the article about how Europe is falling behind, right? Because they don't have...
Falling?
has been falling behind, right? Because this used to be one of the biggest economies in the world. Now, and simply because they just lagged in technology, right?
For sure.
The Chinese are second behind the U.S. because they actually spending a lot of money there.
Yeah.
But it's really, this is why the Mac 7 and these companies are so important to our global dominance.
Just as a sort of number, Apple did $96 billion in revenue. $94 billion in revenue this last quarter. For one quarter. Okay. Microsoft did 76. Yeah, exactly. Microsoft did 76 billion. Okay. So these two companies by themselves did 170 billion in revenue in one quarter.
It's insane.
It's nuts, right? And then obviously you have, the other big tech companies that are doing it. So, Microsoft was one of the bright spots. Meta was actually another. I mean, going back to our AI conversation,
let's talk about Meta, man. How weird!
$90 billion spent by Microsoft for CapEx. We're gonna spend on CapEx. When it was $55 billion a year ago, and everyone's going, "There's no chance
they spend
anyone's gonna spend more money than $55 billion," and even that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And now we're at 90, and none of them show any signs of slowing.
Yeah. And by the way, this CapEx is really important because it shows you where the investment is going.
Right.
And this AI, and this is why I know there's a lot of anxiety out there and clients are anxious and we're having this conversation, but also this whole AI build out is just creating a new paradigm in investing, right? And it could last for years, right? So you have to divorce like kind of your own emotions from like actually what's happened on the ground, right? Because whenever you have a new technology like AI that's coming in and really being adopted by everyone, you can have the ripples of growth throughout the whole sector, right?
For sure.
So when you get Microsoft spending 90 or 95 billion and Google doing the same and Meta doing the same and all that, who's going to benefit from that, right?
Yeah.
There's
everyone else?
Everyone else, right?
So theoretically, who use them, right?
Correct.
It's almost like they've become like de facto utilities at this point. Like, right?
You think that are growing 30% a year.
Yeah. No, but in the sense that like, right, if you're a company and we start GK, right, what do we need? We need internet. We need lights, right? We need these are utilities ultimately, but you can't function without them. The hyperscalers are now kind of becoming a utility, basically. You're paying rent, you're paying, services, lights, all this stuff.
I don't even know how much we spent We pay Microsoft every year, but it's a lot of money.
Probably don't want it. Yeah, it's a lot of money for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about Meta. I think Meta and Google together kind of like are good sort of comparatives in two companies that both have traditionally made their money just advertising.
Yeah.
Right. And how AI is affecting them.
Yeah, I think Meta is like it's so weird, man. Like they really as much as I hate them and hate what they stand for, Instagram is so good. They just like they know you more than you know yourself.
They know me. They know me because all my Instagram feed. I don't follow anyone on Instagram, and I don't post anything that's not future money. It's all no. It knows my algorithm is that I basically have like 5 things that show up on my feed without following anybody because they just know how long I watch these things. And then you want to watch something and you're like, no, I have to skip past it because if I keep watching this, it's just gonna keep feeding me these.
And
then
also, he listens to you too.
For sure. Nah, that's conspiracy. So no. It definitely listens to you.
WhatsApp is huge.
WhatsApp is huge, and they, we've been hearing for 10 years that they're going to try to monetize
I think they have
WhatsApp.
2 billion users now on WhatsApp, right? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, in the U.S. is the only place that WhatsApp is not the primary
everyone in the world
app.
is like, I mean, people run business in WhatsApp in the rest of the world.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Booking hotels, and it's like, oh, here's their WhatsApp number, and but that's the way it works, and eventually they're going to monetize it. I don't know how, I don't know when or how, but they're going to do it. AI is a big spend for Meta, but
Meta is like paying like $100 million a pop for engineers. Like,
so let's talk about this in a second. What I call the fantasy draft of tech AI is like, we just did my first. You don't play fantasy football, but I do, and we just did our first fantasy draft. And I'm thinking about Meta as I'm going. It's like, all right, who's my number 1 pick? Who am I getting as my QB1 here? My running back number 1. And it's kind of insane, and everyone's up in arms about it. And I think we had this discussion on Monday. Like, nobody has any problems that Shohei Ohtani has a $700 million contract with the Dodgers,
right?
But they have a problem with the top AI engineers getting $100 million.
It's just we've never seen it. I think that's
totally. Yeah, but people are like, what is happening?
Yeah, I mean, and for background, what's happening is basically Meta is poaching AI engineers from all over the Silicon Valley, all over the world, really. And pay them $50-100 million a year in basically stock and comp.
It's kind of nice.
And it's it's coming from Google, it's coming from Apple, it's coming from all over the place, and people are pissed because now you gotta pay up if you want to.
Now it's an arms race again.
It's an arms race, And I think what Meta showing is they're just behind on their AI initiatives. And Zuck is just spending whatever he can or he wants to. He doesn't care.
Yeah, I don't know if they're behind. I mean, they're not in the Microsoft.
Their LLMs, their model is definitely behind.
So far their numbers are saying otherwise.
They are doing well using AI to drive traffic and engagement to their app.
Absolutely,
but nobody's adopting their models for anything. And even though they're open source, right?
Yes.
So
I agree with you on that. But as an advertising company,
it's huge.
It's huge for them because they like AI. This is like right in their wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
And unlike Google, they don't have the threat that this is going to disrupt their core business. If anything, this enhances their core business
100%
to be smarter and more efficient.
Yeah.
And again, you're talking about capex of $80+ billion for this company,
right?
And they're still not an expensive company. Their margins are still going up. All these, it's just mind-boggling the amount of money these companies are making.
Zuck has grown up and is managing the business a lot better.
He's a great manager. Yeah. There's no question. Reality Labs, I'm still scratching my head on Reality Labs.
Dude, they're
still losing $10 billion.
The glasses are crushing it. The Ray-Ban glasses
The glasses are crushing it, but Reality Labs has still lost $10 billion. But just a drop in the bucket, I guess.
Yeah. But I think the reality, like if you think about AI, and maybe we talked about this here before, but if you think about AI and real world, kind of AR, right, together, where basically AI becomes part of your interaction with the real world.
Yeah,
I think that's where things are going, right? And Meta is
absolutely
really investing a ton on that.
And I do think, I think, and they, Meta, their partnership with Luxottica for the glasses. I think everyone kind of agrees that lenses are the next iPhone iteration, right? OpenAI has this deal with the former Apple executive.
Yeah, Johnny Ive.
Johnny Ive, thank you.
Yeah.
We all remember him. He was the guy with the black T-shirt that would do all the
Johnny
Apple commercials.
Ive is a legend, dude.
He's the iPhone designer. He's the original designer of the iPhone.
Worked with Steve Jobs many. He built basically all Apple design. What we know Apple sleek and cool, and the way that you announce those products and all that. That's him.
I mean, I know him for that, but I know him as the guy that with the British accent that would do all the Apple commercials that you're like, it doesn't matter what he said. He just sounds so good while he says it.
English accents are good.
But Meta, I mean, look, Meta's revenue was up 22%.
Yeah.
Okay. And their earnings were up 36% year over year.
That's insane.
Like, these numbers are crazy. So again, to your point, the Mag 7, and again, if you strip Tesla out of there, it looks even better.
Tesla doesn't belong there.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, but you see like 30%, revenue growth and, earnings growth. It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
And all leading into the big one tomorrow, which is NVIDIA's earnings, which again, it's hard at this point because NVIDIA is a $4.5 trillion company now.
Yep.
They're the biggest dog on the block. They have 3 years, straight of just exponential growth.
I think NVIDIA is covered by 38 or 39 analysts in the street, and 38 of them have a buy rating on it.
So that scares me.
That's that's kind of what. That's kind of like what it's such an easy trade or an easy kind of. You have to own it because of they're the only really place to go for AI infrastructure. But also, you're not outsmarting anybody.
No, absolutely. And just for numbers, really quick, NVIDIA's 2023 revenue, $27 billion. 2024, $61 billion.
Wow.
2025, $130 billion. Okay, that's a 2-year jump. Okay, went from 27 to 130. They increased by $100 billion.
It's 7x in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And this year, they're expected to do somewhere in the $200 billion range.
That's incredible. I mean, we've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
57 analysts all have buy ratings.
You know me, I like to play devil's advocate. I like to be the contrarian in these scenarios, just to get everybody to think a little bit and not just fall into the trap of what everyone else is saying. There's no question that NVIDIA is the dominant player in the coming years because they control ultimately the main commodity of the world right now.
But also, like, you're right. Like, I think you have to think about what's happening, right? We have all this money being spent.
Yeah.
We have all this AI infrastructure being built. Like, it's really, compute is a new currency, right? Yeah. Like, who's got more compute? And we'll talk a little bit about energy because what we talked about in that yesterday in our meeting was really cool about like how much you have to use for energy in order for you to run some AI processes. But what happened is NVIDIA is innovating so much that the Blackwell chip, which is the new one, right, that's coming out now, is 30x more efficient.
It's already like the previous chips are already obsolete.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years old.
Yeah.
So that level of innovation, we just haven't seen, and this is why they will remain to be the top player in the space.
Correct.
Nobody's doing this.
No, nobody is.
Yeah.
But that said, expectations are very high, and we know earnings. At least on the short term, earnings like movement, pricing around earnings is all about expectation. And we don't even know. They could beat and the stock could go down.
Yeah, they're priced for perfection, right?
They're priced for perfection. What are they going to say on the call? What are they going to say about Blackwell? What are they going to say about China? Right? All these words that are said ultimately on the short term can move the stock in any direction.
Yeah.
And up or down 10%, we have no idea.
Yep.
But
so we hammered NVIDIA. Maybe this is a good time to talk about Intel.
The
U.S. government wants to
change their. So let's give a little bit of background. The CHIPS Act that Biden put into place was going to give
which Trump doesn't like,
even though everyone was on board with it in 2022, including Republicans.
Yeah.
Was meant to give money to people who are producing chips, right?
Subsidies for bringing production of chips. Because NVIDIA, for example, doesn't actually manufacture its own chip. They only design them, which is very, very hard to do. but they manufacture them
in Taiwan,
right? Or across the world.
Yes.
But Samsung does that too, and so forth.
Yep.
But we don't have a U.S. chip manufacturing, which is really, really hard to do.
Right.
Very, very requires these very advanced factories with machines that cost $400 million
a pop. Yeah, it's crazy.
And we just don't have that. And Intel kind of used to do that, and they just not anymore.
Yeah. And so they were supposed to be the biggest benefactors of this CHIPS Act, which is kind of languishing at this point.
Yeah.
But instead of the $10 billion that they were supposed to get for the CHIPS Act, the government is now getting a 10% stake in Intel. So
basically, the government is the mafia now. Basically.
But isn't this socialism?
It's pretty much it. I mean, the French government owns a bunch of businesses.
So this is my question, right? Because I don't care you're a Republican or a Democrat. The mantra of Republicans is free enterprise.
Free enterprise, right? Small government,
free enterprise, less government involvement, stay out of my life, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And now the government is going to own a stake in a private company, which has never been done.
No, I don't think so.
With the exception of the temporary sort of like after the financial crisis when the government bailed out some companies until they got paid back.
I don't think that was a fun time either.
It was not a fun time. Yeah. This was in a financial crisis. This was to prevent the biggest banks and the biggest car manufacturers from collapsing.
Yeah.
And was very controversial at the time. And most Republicans were vehemently against it.
Sure. Yeah.
Including in the worst financial disaster we had since the Great Depression.
Yeah. I think the only instances of this is the government helping new emerging technologies. The government gave a loan to Tesla back in 2008 or Solana, I think one of the...
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that just...
But they're not getting a stake in these companies.
No, they're just giving a loan.
Yeah.
Right? Like high, basically... Right. Loan for highly risky companies or industries, right? To help build that. We've never seen this, and frankly, it's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. I think it's ridiculous that we're even having this conversation. And again, I don't care what political party you're in. Mm-hmm. If this were a Democratic president doing this, Republicans would be up in arms.
We just don't want to have that precedent.
I agree. I agree, and we're doing a lot of precedents that we don't love. The Fed and all this kind of stuff. So regardless, like it's a weird scenario, but we need. What's very apparent is we need chip manufacturing here, and we need energy production here,
which is really the biggest constraint, right? Let's talk through that.
Yeah, I mean, energy consumption with AI is off the charts, basically.
Yep.
There was an article yesterday in the Wall Street Journal that showed that Google's power consumption since 2019 has gone up 51%. And you're talking about a company who dominated the internet essentially for 2 decades, right?
51%.
So you think about in a 5-year span between 2019 and 2024, which is when the study was done, 51% jump in that scenario is kind of incredible. And basically they were saying that the equivalent of asking a very simple question to AI is like watching 10 full seconds of television on a big screen TV.
So you're basically AI ChatGPT query for how much macro is in my lunch is basically destroying the planet.
Kind of. Energy consumption is a huge issue. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to find ways to sort of feed this energy source because without it, we got nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So we have fossil fuels. I think I was going to say everybody, but most people would agree that burning increasing amounts of fossil fuels are not ideal.
Yeah. I think like clean energy is definitely one of the fastest growing, despite all the negative commentary around it and all the IRA Act, blah, 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 that Trump took away. I think clean energy is still one of the cheapest energy sources now at this point. Solar, although they just shut a bunch of wind projects.
They shut a bunch of wind projects, a bunch of solar projects. All the green energy incentives are kind of gone now, and obviously that's bad for alternative energies.
But that's going to. I don't think that's going to stop because clean energy is the cheapest. Right? Like the market is going to drive.
Except that the head of the EPA is the drill baby drill person.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's hard to say, but I think one of the big ones is nuclear. Nuclear energy is becoming more and more. The problem with nuclear is it's a long runway to build a nuclear factory.
And also,
nuclear facility.
I think we have, and this is really one of the bigger problems for the U.S., is that regulation.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the Trump administration will help with this.
Yes.
Is I did this U.S. versus China kind of analysis where China has about 56 nuclear reactors in production right now, working right now. But they have about 38 being built. We have 84 working today, 2 being built.
Yeah.
Right? So we kind of gave up, right? And I think the promise of nuclear, and this obviously because nuclear is dangerous and 8 Mile Island, all this stuff that we see, even though the new reactors are a lot more safe, right?
And the fact that there's probably been less deaths from nuclear energy than any other energy source. We remember them so much more.
Correct.
Right?
They're just massive.
Yeah. You got Fukushima, right? You have Chernobyl.
Yeah.
Right? And we're talking about, and you have 3 Mile Island. That's 3 over 40, 50
not
years.
8 Mile Island.
The 3 Mile Island. Sorry, what did I say? Oh, that's Eminem's island, I think.
Okay.
3 Mile Island, sorry. That's 3 nuclear disasters over the course of 50 years.
Yeah.
Right? So they look horrible when they're on, right? 3 Mile Island, there's not a lot of people on there, which obviously it was a disaster and it was terrible.
Yeah.
Right? I think Fukushima and Chernobyl are the big ones. But you're talking, again, this is 30 years and two disasters. Yeah. And again, like you said, the reactors are way better. Fukushima, the problem is that the reactors were just not reinforced well.
Yeah.
And they were old reactors, and when that earthquake tidal wave tsunami hit, it melted down because of pure infrastructure issues.
Yeah, and I think we're starting to realize that we need to invest more into these newer reactors, and nuclear is actually the safest.
Correct.
Right? With especially the SMRs, the small modular reactors that China is building a lot of, and hopefully we will too. Those are a lot safer. You can move them around, so they can put them in anywhere. And then all the new data centers that have been built, even the tech companies are saying, hey, can we put some nuclear or some other energy around it, because otherwise it's just not stable.
Yeah. The biggest hurdle we're going to have is, like you said, is regulation. But in addition to regulators, let's not just blame the regulators. Let's blame people also. Number one,
not in my backyard.
Not in my backyard.
Yeah.
Right? I do not want to go ahead, Sam. They put up a small modular reactor. We live very close to each other. What if they put one up right in the middle of where we live?
Santa Monica Airport?
Yeah. And we're like, I know it's clean, but do I really want a nuclear facility here?
Yeah.
And obviously it wouldn't be that close. That's an exaggeration, but that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
And part of the problem is that nuclear just has bad PR. Yeah. Like, it's just they have a PR issue.
Yeah.
People need to be out there touting how clean nuclear energy is, because it is. It's way cleaner than fossil fuels. It's way safer than fossil fuels. Like, we don't count every death that happens in fossil fuels, which is probably every day.
Because it happens over time.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like a few every day, probably. Pipes explode. This happens.
Yeah.
All these things in a nuclear reactor. Yeah, maybe we have a malfunction and it kills 200 people.
Yeah.
Over the course of 30 years, it's bad, but it's not as bad as people sort of think about it. And I think we still have this idea of the nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah.
As kind of the issue.
I think you're right. It's a lack of education, a lack of trust.
Yeah.
Those two things we need to overcome, because if you want, and listen, AI, the cat is out of the bag. Like, it's here to stay.
Right.
It's just too good for humanity. There's a lot of amazing stuff happening, new molecules being created, and we're going to solve a lot of diseases. We're going to really improve humanity as a result of this. But we need to solve
What a positive spin on AI. I thought the robots are going to kill us.
Dude, MIT created a new molecule to kill a bacteria that is antibiotic resistant.
Love it.
Just using AI.
This is where we're at. This is where we're at. I mean, we're just at the beginning, and to go back to the energy consumption, AI is going to touch everything.
Yeah.
And you're going to add robotics, right? And if you believe Elon Musk, we're going to have billions of robots. I don't know. There's going to be more robots than people. That's probably not great, but we're going to have robots.
I've been watching Ender.
Yeah, Andor's a good.
It's so good.
It's a good show.
So good. But
I'm proud of you. You're not a Star Wars guy. I'm proud of you, man. You're watching Disney Plus?
I am.
That might be your first foray into Disney.
I downloaded Disney Plus just to watch it. Yeah.
All right. Well, Hatem and I always argue. He always makes fun of me because I like, Marvel and Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
But
it's good. Yeah. It's really good.
So what about Andor?
I love it because robots everywhere.
Artificial intelligence.
And they kind of like live together, It's great.
And I think, I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson a lot. He's like, I make all these predictions for the year 2015. He goes, AI is just going to be another tool that humans use to make our lives better.
And that's exactly
it. And that's how I feel also, I joke about this all the time. There's no good movie that's written that says, AI is just going to, Hatem's using ChatGPT and everything's fine. And, his life is much more efficient. It's a very bad movie script.
Yeah, totally.
Much better is a robot killer going back in time to take over, or The Matrix. Those are much better stories. But to go back to the energy thing, AI is just starting.
Yeah.
Right? We have robots.
And that's, by the way, that's a theme at GK here for us investment themes. Yeah. This is something that we're investing in.
Yeah, we're just starting.
Yeah, we're just starting. And
we have large language models. We're not anywhere near artificial general intelligence, AGI as they call it.
Yeah.
Right? We're just scratching the surface. Now you have robots with AGI in them.
Yeah.
Quantum computing in 20 years. Like, the energy consumption needs are just exponential from here. And we cannot continue to burn fossil fuels.
Yeah.
So we got to find alternative energy sources.
Yeah.
And I think it's clear the DeepSeek model that everyone was touting, where you need very, very little actually compute to run these models, is actually just not true.
That's not how it works.
No.
Even if it gets cheaper, and by the way, the NVIDIA chips are like 25 times require less energy for the same compute needs. We're just going to use more of it.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
We're going to use more. They're going to get more efficient, but we're going to use more.
A lot more. Yeah, exactly.
And that's the way it goes, because we're not going. Technology innovation doesn't scale down because there's a threat somewhere.
No.
It will continue to accelerate. So humans constantly come up. I always use this phrase: every problem has a solution, and then every solution has a problem.
Right? Exactly.
And so we're going to have to continue to play this push and pull with energy consumption, with with climate change, and our needs for AI and robotics and all this stuff in the future.
I think we hammered every point that we wanted to hammer. I mean, it's the Fed. Yeah. Let's talk about the Fed real quick.
Oh, God.
You want to close it out with the Fed?
Way less exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, let's hope. It looks like they're going to cut interest rates.
Yeah. I think so. And I think we'll definitely have high interest rates, right? It's definitely restrictive, and we need rates to down. I don't like the U.S. government or the Trump administration hammering the Fed, because we need the Fed to be really, we need to know that our central bankers are making decisions not based on politics, based on the data that they see in front of them. And it's just unfortunate. This is how things are playing out right now.
Yes, I agree.
Trump just fired Lisa Cook this morning, which is one of the Fed governors, for
and that hasn't ever been
something
done.
Stupid that's not real.
Yeah.
So
it's never been done.
Yeah.
No one's ever fired a Fed governor since the 1930s, when the Federal Reserve came into being.
Correct. So no precedent for where we are. It feels like a lot of the stuff that Trump is doing, there's no precedent for it. So.
And again, this is not a commentary on Republicans or Trump or anything. It's just, we have a division of power in this country, the separation of powers, for a reason. It's been, for all of our faults in the U.S., right? And there are many. We still generally tend to be a beacon of democracy, and again, we have our problems. Like
having separate institutions,
correct,
is really important.
But he's leaning on everything,
right?
Whether it's the judiciary branch or legislators who have to fall in line with him, or now the sort of independent governors. It's not great for markets. Now, if the Fed's cuts rates because Trump keeps telling them they need to cut rates, that's not the worst thing in the world to be outspoken against the Fed.
Every president has to tell the Fed to do that, but doing something about it is different.
Correct. Firing somebody for no good reason ultimately is not ideal. So we'll see what happens.
And that makes us lose trust in our institution. And trust is like anything else with trust. It's really hard to get. But once you lose it, you lose it. It's done.
And a whole system is based on trust.
Correct.
So hopefully this is sort of a one-off, lower rates. Probably there's now a 90% chance the market is sort of
pricing that in,
predicting a 90% rate cut.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another one in December, but I feel like the Fed might still be in a wait-and-see mode. But in reality, a year from now, we probably might be seeing rates on the low end.
And this is good. This is good for asset prices, good for bonds, good for stocks, good for real estate. So I think really we all want that. It's not necessarily good because that means the economy is slowing down. So there is that happening too.
And in theory, though, the idea of lowering rates, right, is to kind of re-stimulate, right? People go out and things are cheaper to borrow, they spend, they build, they do all this stuff. So that's the whole theory behind this, right? And, for years we've been talking about this, Fed soft landing, right? They landed the plane for all of their faults and everything that happened and all the inflation.
Powell crushed it, man.
He did a great job, and we were critics of their policy early on also.
It's the hardest job on earth, man.
It is. It is a thankless job. And one might argue it's, the Fed chair is the most powerful person in the world.
Yeah.
Like you can argue that he, the financial markets, the U.S. capital markets,
and he had a steady hand
rates,
despite COVID.
Correct.
And a lot of the stuff.
COVID, the inflation shock, right? Recession risks, which we never got.
We can also sit here and just criticize, because it's always fun to do the Monday morning quarterback,
Hatem just got a Star Wars reference and an American football reference in the same show, guys.
I don't know what's up, man. I'm going to Europe tomorrow, so I'm out.
Go to Europe, play your European football.
Football,
yeah. But look, it's all these things hopefully, are positive for the economy in the coming year. The tax bill is hopefully positive in the coming year, regardless of its 10-year ramifications. We don't know. It remains to be seen.
Nope.
But the big thing, and to wrap it all up, is all these things are shorter-term things, and they do matter. Yeah. Rates definitely matter. Yeah. But the technology trend, AI, robotics, energy, all these trends for the next 5 to 10 years, crypto, we haven't even talked about crypto and its energy demands and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
These are all positives for a multi-year, what we think is a secular bull market because of this.
Well said, my man.
Thank you, sir.
Wishing you guys an awesome end of your summer.
Yeah, and happy Labor Day.
Yeah, we'll see you in September.
All right, cheers.